Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, November 3rd, and I'm here with the ducks and my cat, one of the cats. And I thought I would make a video today. I don't know how short it's going to be, but anyway, I just wanted to show what the farm looks like at this time of the year. I've been trying to make periodically throughout the growing season different videos showing the crops and the animals and just kind of trying to give people an idea of how things change throughout the season on a small farm like ours. So anyway, this is November when a lot of the crops are pretty much done and things are we're just kind of putting them to bed for the winter. But it has been a very, very warm fall. So I think what we see now in the field is a little bit unusual. So let me grab my coffee here and start walking around. And I'm gonna go to the greenhouse and show you the crops that I have in there. But first on the way, actually let me show you my quince tree. I made a little video about the quince tree maybe a couple of months ago, and the quinces are now ready. So I'm making my jam today. I'm very excited. They look really good. They smell really good. And let me just, let's see. They smell really good. And I have 8 quinces total on this little tree. And one of them, unfortunately, is getting a little bit of rot, as you can see. But I'm just gonna harvest it anyway, and I'm gonna just cut around that bad spot. And I'm making my jam today, this afternoon, so I'm really excited. This is the tree that I planted in honor of my grandmother's. And just kind of to honor also my heritage a little bit, because quince jam was a part of that, and I loved it when I was a little girl growing up in Romania. So it's just a nice way to keep that tradition going. All right, so here's the greenhouse. We were gone for 12 days. We're in the Azores, Portugal. And I was very pleased when he came back to see that things are still doing really well in here. It has been warm, like I was saying before, and while we're gone, it was only actually one night that we had any frost. And I made sure I had my sister come here and close the greenhouse. So, and it seems like nothing really got damaged by the frost. So let's see what's in here. These marigolds have done amazing all season, and look at them, they're still incredible. And here are some volunteer tomatoes that came through in the marigolds, and they look so good, so healthy, these plants, that I really think from now on I'm going to start planting marigolds and tomatoes together, because they really seem to like each other. And look at that fruit. Still lots of fruits on this beautiful plant right here. And then here I have my lettuces. So this bed on the left is one that still has a lot to harvest from. The bed on the right is pretty much done. I've harvested it like 3 times, I think. And so the lettuces in it are just not prime anymore. So I think I'm gonna pull them out and feed them to the chickens or the cows. And I'm gonna keep harvesting for my sales from the bed on the left. And here, way on the right, these frilly leaves are carrots, and they should be ready now. So we're gonna be, actually I'm gonna leave them in the ground until we really start seeing some temperatures in the low 20s. But they should be ready to harvest anytime now. All right, and here are Let me step carefully over here. All right, so on the right are eggplants, which I basically sort of had given up on. I harvested before we left in like the third week of October. I harvested what I thought was the last harvest of eggplants, and then when we came back, I was surprised to see, you know, look at all this fruit that's still on these plants. And I actually harvested 2 eggplants yesterday, and I made a nice curry with them. But yeah, these plants have been amazing all season long. They've given us so much, and you know, November is not eggplant time for sure, but here we are still having lots of fruit, so that's good. And the tomatoes, definitely the leaves are done. You know, as you can see, everything's brown, and that's totally normal, I think, for this time of the year. But you can also see all these red fruits on them, which I have to harvest. So again, this is another nice surprise. I really thought that when we get back to the farm 1st of November, I was fully expecting everything to be dead. All the tomatoes to be dead, and the eggplants and the peppers. But quite a harvest still to be had from these plants. So let's see. And here on the right we have peppers, and I actually went and harvested all the peppers before we left for the Azores, because I really thought that the frost would kill them. And there were a lot of fruits on the plants, but obviously they're not at all dead. And I guess I shouldn't have harvested them. I should have left them on the plants, and they would have lasted better than in my root cellar. So anyway, just something you learn. But here are still a few fruits on these plants. And actually the most fruit is on these jalapeno pepper plants. Look at them. They are just so loaded. I never got to harvest them before we left. There was so much to do. And I'm actually glad that I didn't, because as you can see, they look great. So I'm probably gonna harvest them for my sale next week. All right, so let me see what else is in here. Actually, let me go out this way. So here's part of the field where we're growing a lot of things during the season. And right now all the green you're seeing is forage radish, which I planted for the cows. So these radishes, we're gonna pull some of them out this week, and we're gonna pull more out as the temperatures get colder. And I'm gonna store them in my root cellar and feed them to the cows as long as possible. They usually last a month or two. And under these covers is kale. And let me see if I can. It's kind of a pain to take them off, so I'm not going to take them off, but I don't know if you can see. It's just kale plants that I'm going to harvest next week for my sale. And then at the very edge here, we have celery. That looks great. Look at these leaves. They look really beautiful. So I'm very excited. Again, before we left, I had so many things to do, and I didn't get to all of them, and the celery is one of the ones that I didn't get to, and I really thought I had lost it, but I didn't. So I'm very excited now. I'm gonna take these beautiful leaves and I'm gonna dry them and store them over the winter for my soups and stews and whatever else I'm cooking. And here we also have celeriac. Let me see. Let's see over here. You can see the roots. They look great. So celeriac is just like celery. You can see the leaves look very similar. It's closely related to celery, but it's not very popular in the US. It's getting more popular now as people are discovering it. Very popular in Europe. These roots that they're the main part that you eat from the plant. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So you dig up the roots and clean them up, and they store for a long time. They could store for months, and they're nice and sweet, and they taste just like celery, maybe a little bit stronger, and they're really great in salads or soups or stews, or basically anything you cook that you would want to put celery in. And let me show you one of these radishes. Look at this. They look just like daikon radishes. These are forage radishes. Let me see if I can take one out of the ground. Oh, here we go. So they get to be big. Can you get an idea? Let's see. They get to be, actually this is not even a big one. This is a pretty small one. They get to be really big, and the cows love them. They're a great source of food. They're excellent for the soil. So some people, even if they don't feed them to animals, they just plant them as a cover crop, because as you can see, being so long, they're like they're also called tillage radish. It's almost like they're loosening up your soil for you. So, and it makes it easier to plant. It's not as compacted. So you can have an easier time getting in there in the spring and planting whatever crop you're going to plant. But for us, they help not only with the soil, but also the cows love them. And so they're a great source of food throughout the winter. And so here's the other part of the field. And here again, all this green you're seeing is cover crop, is forage for the cows. There are more of these forage radishes in here. And there are also these beautiful peas that are flowering now. I don't think they'll get very far along with these flowers, but look how pretty they are. And they're great for the soil. They're nitrogen fixers. That means they put nitrogen in the soil, and that's a good thing. And the cows love them too. So we're gonna bring the cows through here on their rotation, and they're gonna eat this down before we're gonna put them in here before the frost hits everything. And this field is pretty much put to bed. Under this white cover, I still have some, what do I have here? I have cilantro and cabbages, which I have to harvest, and some broccoli. So that's still to be harvested. And then this green plants here, this is parsley. And this I'm still harvesting from and selling. But then everything under the black tarps is just beds that we put to bed for the winter, and just covering them to protect the soil over the winter. And then this bed over here with the cover, with the mesh cover, this is all bok choy. Let's see, can you see that? So I have bok choy in here, and further down I have a different type of radish, yes, but also turnips. So all this right here is Hakuri turnip. It's a white round turnip that I sold quite a bit of, and right now I'm just keeping this for the cows. So I'm just pulling these guys out and feeding them to the cows because they're past their prime as far as selling them to my customers or to restaurants or anything. So let me show you. These are radishes right here. So here we are. And this morning I pulled them out here. See, it's just soil. I pulled out quite a few radishes and fed them to the cows. Gave them as treats while I was milking. And so that's what I'm doing with this bed. I'm just slowly taking radishes and turnips out of it, and when I'm all done, I'm gonna cover it with plastic as well to keep it over the winter. Alright, so I think that's pretty much it for the crops, and I'm gonna walk over to the cows to show you them. But first, let me show you this tree. Look at this gorgeous tree with these berries. So this is a hawthorn tree, and hawthorn is really good for your heart. Everything, all the parts, the berries, the leaves, they're really they're like a tonic for the circulatory system, and so you can make teas with them or jams or whatever, you know, whatever way you want to do it. And they're also a great source of food for birds over the winter. And also in the spring, when the tree is flowering, there are so many pollinators on here. So the bees love it, the different wasps and bumblebees, and so a really great tree. The only thing to be careful is these huge spines that it has on it. Like you can see right here, they're actually very tough. So if you accidentally walk into them, it will really hurt, which pretty much we've all done over here. We've all walked into it. So you just have to be careful, because it could really, you know, you don't want to get one of those thorns in your eyes or anything. So let me head over now to the cows. I really miss the cows when we were away 12 days. I milk them every day, and I'm with them every day, so I feel very connected to them. And I have to say that I actually miss them the most out of anything else on the farm. And my kids were like, why you don't miss the cats as much, or the chickens? And I guess I did a little bit, but not as much, just because I'm just not with them the way I am with these cows all the time. So there they are, very contented in the pasture. And one thing that was really cool was just sort of comparing our system here, rotational grazing that we do here in our pastures, comparing them to what we're seeing in other places. So last year we were in northern Italy and Austria, and we saw a lot of dairy cows, a lot of cows on pasture. And then in the Azores this year, the island we're on, is huge dairy production. There are cows everywhere. And so it was really interesting to sort of compare our system and see what we could learn from the other systems we're seeing. And my husband and I were both kind of really excited to realize that the way we're doing it here, you know, there are definitely improvements we can make, but overall I think we're doing a really good job. You know, the way we're rotating them, and I feel like there's not that much to improve. And we've seen cows in really great systems where they had access to fresh grass and fresh water, and they're rotated on a regular basis. They're not overgrazing, and the cows look great. So we've seen a lot of that abroad. And we've also seen just really nasty looking, you know, where the cows are just in muck and they're dirty, and the milking looks really dirty. And So anyway, it was just kind of interesting to see that kind of range, and to see what we can learn, you know. And one thing that I feel we could definitely learn that was really cool was their stanchions. In the Azores, they basically didn't have any barns or any kind of fixed structures for the cows. The cows are outside all the time, and when it came to milking, the people would come in these little trucks that were kind of like a stanchion on wheels, and that was really cool. And the cows would just come to the truck, and they had a compressor on the truck, and they had a milking machine, and they would just use that and milk the cows right there on the pasture. So that was really cool. We do have a stanchion that's movable. I can actually show it to you right now, but it's not as easy to move as theirs was. Ours, you need to hook it up to a tractor basically, and you can't just take it on a road the way they could. So that's one thing that, especially if we increase our herd, or if it becomes necessary to move them, you know, across a road or something, that kind of stanchion looked really good. But this is our movable shelter, so you could see it's on wheels. There it is. So we move it to fresh grass every day, but it's just not that easy to move. I mean, I can't really move it by myself. My husband can move it, and obviously if he hooks up the tractor to it, he can move it. But for me, you know, I'm the main person basically milking the cows, and it's just not that easy. So this is one thing we could improve. But as far as the pasture and the way the cows look, you know, I feel like we're kind of on the right track here, and I'm excited to discover that. So here's Oshi. Hi, sweetheart. How are you? I'm back to milking them. Hey, Oshi. Let me go say hi to her. Hi, sweetheart. You're a good girl, yeah. And let's see who's here. This is Oblio, standing up here. And then here we have Jasmine and her calf, Jupi. And Jasmine gave me 1.5 gallons this morning. Thank you so much. And she's a really good cow. They're all amazing. Huh, sweetheart? Yeah, mama. I miss how they smell, and just how, I don't know, how earthy they are, and I'm really glad to be back with them. This is Juliet. This is Jasmine's calf from this year, and she's about 6 months now, huh, sweetheart? Getting to be a big girl. Yeah, she's still nursing. And this is our latest calf, Romeo. He's getting to be a big boy now. He's still a bull. We didn't castrate him yet. We have a few people interested in buying him as a bull. Hey, good boy. He's 2 months old. He's a dun. You see this color. It's kind of unusual. And they're, I guess, a little bit more sought after than just because they're different. All right. So I think maybe this gives a little bit of an idea of how everything is, and maybe I'll make another little video once a heavy frost hits. But But I don't know, this is end of the season basically. The only thing that we still have to do as far as farm, field work is the garlic has to get in. So I'm planning to plant that in the next week. This is the garlic crop that will be harvested next year. I'm gonna get that in the ground in the next week. And a few things to harvest, like you saw before. And then just covering the field, making sure there's no bare soil. That should be it basically before we just call it a season. Alright, hope you're enjoying this beautiful day, and we'll see you later.